welcome back to another episode of the From the Farmyard podcast. And today we are going to be talking about overwintering your garden, what we do to prepare our gardens for the coming year, but also for the winter, things like that. So yeah, let's jump into it.
So after this video comes out, we're going to have full videos on us cleaning out our gardens. So that's kind of like the end of our season, garden tours. Everything's done with that, but like for now, we're doing the garden clean outside of it because it is a part of gardening and we want to show all the different sides and perspectives that come with gardening. So you know what to expect if you're new to this. If you're not new to this, then you already know this. But overwintering. Here in Pennsylvania, we get some hardy winters, that's for sure. So to prepare for that, I have a whole process that I like to do, and it doesn't just get done in one day because we have like three or four different gardens that I have to take care of. So it doesn't all get done in one day. It's a process, and I'll explain that to you in this video. But obviously, first step, excuse you.
Sorry.
You're good. You can't stop that. It is what it is. So, first thing that needs to be done is the clean out part. And that's always like that part kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It's not fun because not only is it like just like messy, and if you have plants that like to drop seeds, it's not really fun. So that in itself is not the best part, but once you get the cleaning out done,
and it's like you're tearing out a part of yourself, actually, because I mean, you planted those seeds, you've been cultivating them all year long, pulled out some harvest from them, and you're just tearing them out, which can be really hard. So most of us will put it off as long as possible, and then we'll get the sudden urge to just tear everything out of the ground, and then it comes out in like a day and a half, and it's all good.
Exactly. Not only is it like just like it stinks to do the process, but it also like kind of hurts your heart a little bit because it's like, man, like it's over. Now we have to wait how many more months till the next year. But overwintering, it can be a good thing because it's a time to rest. The ground needs to rest. And you need to rest as a gardener. So it's a time of rest for everybody. And honestly, during that time of rest, it's a good idea to prepare as well. Preparation is huge when it comes to getting ready for the next growing season. So keeping that in mind, maybe that'll keep you busy this winter. Yeah, go ahead.
With preparing, like this year, we got enough compost because I was supposed to be redoing the front part, which I'm ready to just burn the grass all the way down to the roots, but that's not going to happen. I will not be violent. But I have the extra compost now, so I'm using that compost that was going to be used for something else, and I'm just putting it in my garden beds. It's not bad if you do that because the nutrients will still be there. It's not just going to go away because it's just sitting there. So put compost on your beds, and they'll be fine for next year. Next year, you can just plant right into them. And it's a good way to get started, and then that way you're not waiting on anything for next year. So this time right now where everything's dead, but it's not really full on winter yet, if you can get the stuff to top up your beds with extra compost, soil, whatever, go for it, and it'll be good. So then you won't have to be doing it next spring.
Right. So what you'll see whenever we talk about this whole overwintering process is that you are getting two sides of this. And that's what's cool about this podcast, because honestly, for all of not only just like overwintering, for the whole gardening aspect, the whole chicken keeping, whatever that is, you're getting two different sides of this because we have very different zones and climates. I can't say very different, but it's definitely not the same. Mine's definitely a little bit.
Yeah. With winter, you get down into the negative 30s with wind chill and everything. I get down to 0 is the -5 was the lowest. And then, but we get up to like 110 during the summers. So
exactly.
We get hot, but she gets colder. And it is very good that we are in two different zones, like Reagan said.
And our
because we
zone,
cover all the zones with being in both zones.
yeah. And our like different like winter like timings and stuff is very different as well. Like your winter is not as long as my winter. That's why I have to start cleaning out in September or October. My stuff is dead because once we get that first frost, and I'll get into this now, when it comes to cleaning out, I clean out throughout the year, okay? Like if a plant dies, it's going, right? Like everybody does that. It's like pulling weeds, it's like keeping your garden maintained. That's just what I do. If a plant's dead, I pull it out, it's done for the year. So to maintain that and keep that going, I take like week by week and I just go through and I'm like, okay, what is the most dead? And then we start pulling out the things that are the most dead. And that's where we start. Then after we get our first frost, then it's like, okay, yeah, now things need to go because everything's dead. Now everything's dead. This is everything's done. So I pull everything pretty much after our first frost. And this year we took like a whole day and cleaned out the entire garden. And that was really, really like efficient, but we got it all done and I was really pleased with that. But after that frost is when we go and really start pulling the plants out. So step 1 is going to be cleaning out your garden. That would be like the first thing that comes with overwintering. Number 2 in
What
this
I
one.
would do
I was wondering if
with
you were going to talk and you didn't.
yeah,
I was like, okay,
I was
now
had
go
a
ahead. Go
thought.
ahead. Go ahead.
What I would do with cleaning out and preparing, and because I have just gone through all of this myself, getting back from HOA, and it's been like a 2 week process of just in the garden doing what I can. I mean, I've been out there for like 2 hours each day, maybe a little bit more, and started with weed eating around the beds, doing what I can so it's not just a jungle out there, and then pulling weeds, and then I'll move on to pulling out plants when they're dead, when whatever, we still have marigolds growing and stuff like that. But
Right.
I
See,
would start with
he
pulling
hasn't, you haven't gotten your frost yet, right?
Tuesday night. We're getting our first frost,
See, I got mine this past,
which is actually
would
the
have
first
been,
day of November.
it would have been, what was Monday? What date was Monday? If today's the 28th, I don't know. It was on a Monday. I don't know what day it was. It was sometime in October. No,
23rd.
23rd.
Yeah.
We did the math at the same time.
We
The
did. But
23rd of October, I got my first frost. So right there, you're still growing stuff, are you not?
yeah, I have one straggly pepper and marigolds
But
and a
see,
bunch of
he doesn't have,
cucamelons.
you don't have to clean out your garden yet because you haven't even got your first frost. Your plants are
No.
still green. Mine are all
Yeah.
brown. They're brown.
I
They're
waited
crusty and disgusting.
I waited to do a lot of my stuff, and I have so few plants that are still growing because I didn't succession plant, which video coming on that shortly next year sometime. Succession planting. I didn't do a lot of succession planting, and I just have things that are wanted to hold on a little while longer. Like the marigolds, they just started blooming like a month ago, not that long
Uh-huh.
ago. And then the cucamelons are just ferocious and won't stop. So they stay. And the one pepper just he stays.
So
But
right
I
there.
could have complained, and I could have still had tomatoes going. I could have probably had beans and a whole bunch of other stuff. Poor management on my part. I realize that now.
So right there, there's two different sides of it. But I suggest if you're cleaning out, obviously maintain as it goes throughout the whole year. Make sure you're keeping up with weeding, plants that die that need to go, things in your garden that just aren't supposed to be there. Clean those out, get those out. They're not useful anymore. They're taking up space. Get those out as the time comes. And then after your first frost, when things are really dead, then you can really go into that clean out process and get it all done. So, step 2, overwintering. This is what I do, and I do this also completely year round. Who here likes pulling weeds? Okay, nobody.
It's actually very therapeutic.
You weren't
So
supposed to
I
raise your
enjoy
hand.
it.
Whatever. No, I don't mind
But
pulling weeds. But let's be honest. It is a chore. Like not a lot of people really want to go out and pull weeds, especially if it gets like crazy and you forget to do weeds for like a week or two and then your whole garden is just covered. That's bad.
or
We don't
or
want to
too
do
much.
that.
Didn't you
Yeah.
have to go through and weed eat your garden at one point?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did. That's besides the point.
Yeah, no
Okay?
shame.
No shame in that. We got to do what we got to do, people. Anyway, to keep weed population down. I think I've talked about this before. If I haven't, right now, you're going to get the tip on how to not pull weeds in your garden. Okay. So, mow
You did
your
a
lawn.
permaculture thing.
Yeah. Did I? Okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if I did or didn't. Mow your lawn. When you mow your lawn, okay? That grass is already available to you, okay? Bag it. Bag it. You can bag your grass and use it for a multitude of purposes, first of all. But if you're using it in the garden aspect, bag your grass all year round. If you don't bag your grass, it's just going on the other grass and just waste, okay? Permaculture people, we want to save these things. These are good, okay? So keep what you can get and use as much as you can. Don't let things go to waste. Permaculture, okay? So I'm not done yet. Wait, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I want to get this point across. Just wait. Okay. So bag your grass. You bag your grass. Okay. Then we take the grass and we put it on the dirt around our plants. If they're little seedlings, don't put them on top of seedlings. They'll die. That's common sense, I think. But like, just say, don't do that. But
You
you
like
can do this at
8 inches
any
away
time.
from your plants,
Yeah,
like
you
seedlings
can
and
do
stuff like
this pretty much any time during the whole process of gardening. So, when it comes to overwintering, we pull our plants, just bare dirt. We mow the lawn. And obviously, when it comes to winter, we're not only mowing grass, but we're mowing more so leaves. Leaf mulch, I personally prefer. I think it does a better job than the grass mulch. But take the leaf mulch and we pile it. We just cover the whole bed with the leaf mulch. And that in itself will not weeds won't come through that because there's so much covering it that it just suffocates any weeds, any weed seeds that come through. If one or two come through, guys, it's a lot less than what it could have been. You could have been weed whacking your garden like I did this summer, okay? So take this and I challenge you like to go try this out because it works for us and it's just like a huge benefit for our garden and it helps us out a lot when it comes to weeding and it saves a lot of time as well. Okay, now you can go.
Yeah.
I got my point across.
Okay. I Two things. The first thing is she mows her grass and she will put the grass clippings on that. With permaculture, I don't do that. Also, we don't have a lot of grass because a lot of it is, yeah, we have trees that were not planted as deep as they should have been, so we
Oh,
have just roots. But what I do is we'll let it go like kind of tall just because we really don't care. And I'll rake everything up and right to the hens. Hens will eat that throughout the day, probably 2 days because depending on how much it is.
but right there,
Uh,
like I said, you can use grass clippings for a multitude of things.
yeah,
Not only is it just for the garden, you can use it for composting or you can use it for your chickens like that. So if you
yeah,
do bag your grass, it honestly is a helpful thing for a multitude of things.
yes. Um, with the weeds and things, I did you question for you. Did you guys just build right on top of the grass, or you guys put any like fabric down, like in between the bed and the ground?
Okay, our garden, the way it's set up is it's like I think all the ground was like we have like mounds kind of like that's what it is. It's like mounded dirt on top and then we till everything like once in a while just to change the layout, but we take then fabric down the rows, but like
Hmm.
it's basically just dirt on dirt on dirt on dirt but
Okay,
mounted.
then moves into my second thing. I don't have a lot of weeds because I don't even know what it's called. Some black tarp thing. underneath of it. The plants can their roots can grow through it. Hasn't really been a problem. In one of my 7x5 beds, I have gotten down to the bottom when I was like trying to get all the roots out. Since learned not to do that, leave some roots. Um, Pulled up the fabric a little bit. It was like sand underneath. Like I stuck my finger down. It was just like being at the beach and it just like keep going. And it was really cool. But I don't have to deal with that many weeds. I still have to deal with them, but not as bad. So if you want to somehow counter the weeds, I would recommend doing something like that. Yes.
Okay, now I have a question for you. How old
Hmm.
is your garden?
Mine is 3 years, but it's killed everything underneath of that.
3 years. My
3 years.
garden is probably like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. And
My garden's
that
old.
does play it.
It
Yeah.
does because I maybe we did have fabric underneath our garden beds at one point. If it is, it's not there
Yeah.
anymore. That's for sure. So like
It
that,
will go
take that
away.
into
Yeah.
consideration too. Yeah, if you have a newer garden, I just built my garden over the past year. Okay,
Hmm.
I did not have a lot of weeds to pull in my garden this year.
Yeah.
This year specifically, because that's fresh dirt that's just put on there. Next year I probably will because the weed seeds have definitely found my garden by now. And they've maybe, I don't know what's going to happen with that garden next year. But um, to add on to, we're talking about grass clippings. We do not spray our yard. Okay, keep that in mind too. We do not spray our lawn. Our lawn is purely just grass. It's grass, okay? If you spray your lawn, you probably don't want to do that into your garden because, like, I don't know. I don't know chemicals that well, but it may kill your plants and it may, I don't know if it's the best scenario for your food anyway. But we both, we do not do chemicals. Ours is just like free range organic everything. We like to stay far away from that stuff.
Right.
So if you spray your lawn,
Yeah.
that's definitely something you got to take into consideration when doing that. But do your research on
Hmm.
that. It is, whatever you feel comfortable with. I wouldn't,
Yeah.
but I don't
Um,
spray my lawns. I
I
wouldn't do that either. So
yeah, I wouldn't do that. I have neighbors who do it, and I don't like it at all. Like I have gotten really mad to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna go over here and talk to these people and be like, why? Like I want to know why first. I'm gonna know why because they want perfect green lawns and all that. No, I don't care about that. I'd rather it all be dead, but not pumped full of chemicals and everything else.
exactly.
Which it wouldn't happen, but both of us, I garden organically. She gardens organically. We don't spray anything. We don't even use organic sprays because I mean, they can say it's organic. You really don't know what's in it. Um, and most things that are being sprayed on the lawn, they will kill. I have my facts straight. I've done very loose research on this. Nightshades, which are your peppers, your eggplants, your tomatoes, tomatillos, and ground cherries, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll kill all those, and that's a lot of people grow their gardens for the tomatoes and or for whatever. So you would be losing out on that if you were to do that. Not saying it can't be done, not saying people don't do it, but that is a risk that you're taking and a risk that Reagan and I just don't take because we don't spray our lawns. And I would rather everything not, I mean, nothing needs to be sprayed. Things have survived forever without being sprayed. And yeah, before I get into a long debate about that.
So now you've pulled out your plants, you've picked your weeds, pulled out your plants in your garden, and now you've put your clippings on, your grass clippings or your leaf mulch. And when you're doing that, I like to do like a hefty amount. Like obviously when
Yeah.
it rains, when you're putting it on, it's dry. When it rains, it's going to compact. The more it compacts, the more likely the seeds are going to be able to sprout through that surface. But if you just keep adding more and more and more on top, and this is another thing why we do this all year round, because we want to use as much of those grass clippings as possible. So we plant our tomatoes, and then around those tomatoes, we put the grass clippings, okay, during the summer. Now, when it comes to winter, we pull those tomatoes out and we're left with just that circle that needs filled because we already covered the rest. Now, granted, I do go over everything again because, like I said, it does compact, and then your chances of weeds coming through is a lot more likely. But yeah, I really like this method. It works like really well for us, and it's just something that also with permaculture, which we strive for, using as much as we can without things going to waste. Bagging your grass is just, to me, I think it's just something that a lot of people need to do because not only is it good for your garden, but you can use it for a bunch of different things. With compost, I mean, we have like, that's some black, dark, hot compost out there because of all those grass clippings and that nutrients in that soil. It's like, it's incredible. And when you rotate that and you really focus on your compost pile, that's like, that's good stuff. And I think we have a video on compost, do we not?
I believe
We
we do, yeah.
we do. So I'll link that at the end if you guys are interested in watching a video on compost. I will link that at the end. And if we didn't film a video on compost, which I'm pretty sure we did,
We do, yeah.
I'll have the permaculture one at the end if that compost one isn't there. But I think we did the compost. So
Yeah.
either
And
or.
when you're doing this, it's words forming. Come on, come on. Okay. The when you're doing grass clippings, when you're adding leaves, when you're doing things like that, and you're shredding them up with the mower and stuff like that, you can put that in, and it's really just compost. You can leave all of those on there. Like if Reagan's doing this is what I would do if I was doing that. I would layer the leaves and the grass clippings, and then I would put another layer of soil on top of that. So then you plant in the top layer, it's able to go through all the layers or go through that layer into the leaves and the grass clippings and then into the lower layer of soil, and it just feeds everything. You are creating such a rich environment for living things that it's beyond whatever. And you get to the point a few years into gardening where you don't even need to use compost anymore. Your soil is just so nutrient packed, and you have ways of doing it. Like you can do potassium sprays with bananas, the peels. You can do the grass clippings. You can do the leaf mulch. You can make your own compost even and do it like that. So many different things like that. Just figuring out what you can use, and it really is just a big permaculture practice.
Mm-hmm. And so here it is in October. We're going into November. I have a chance of snow next week, I think. I think the chance went down, but I mean, we're getting close to that time for Pennsylvania where it's like, okay, snow's coming. So
Yeah.
my whole garden is cleaned out. It's done. We've got mounds of leaves on top of our beds. Everything is ready for winter. That snow's going to come. It's going to sit on top next spring. All that's going to melt, and we're going to be left with that same as we left it in the fall. And then in what it used to be. And this is why this for me is like so huge for us, because we used to, before we didn't do this, uh we'd go out after winter, and obviously we don't plant our garden. Snow will melt, and it'll be like on and off from like March till April, like February to April, let's just say. It's on and off. That's Pennsylvania slush time, baby. That's Pennsylvania slush. So we get to like March, April, May. We don't plant till May, like in our garden till May. Okay.
Yeah.
So during that whole time, it's so on and off and fluctuating of temperatures and weather that weeds are still growing in our garden, and we didn't do the leaf mulch yet. So it comes into, oh, my mic is falling down. Oh no. Okay, you need to like discuss something with them while I fix this, please.
She can't plant until May, which is a long time for me, but it's regular for them, obviously. I can direct sow seeds into my garden about April 10th and be completely fine. Of course, started plants and things like that, you don't want them getting too cold, but I do my garden in about April, and by that time, we've had enough warm weather from probably about March into April that it's been, I mean, the grass has grown, so we can do that. We don't really do anything with our leaves, I'm not gonna lie. We kind of just pile them underneath the trees and then use them if we need them around different things. Um, but yeah, you can add on more stuff after that, like before you plant or after you plant. It's kind of the same concept of it is the same concept as mulch, regular mulch that you can buy, but it's more sustainable than other mulch, and it's easier to break down instead of like a hunk of wood. So
Okay, I fixed her. She's good now. Um, but like what I was saying before, I think we'd just go out and the weeds would be so thick. It was like walking through a field. It was so bad. It was so bad. But now that we do this practice, it's like we can go out there and literally just open up a spot and plant a seed, and then that's it. Right there, just over the years, that mulch, like you said, it's composting, it's going into the soil, you're adding more and more and more on top. At some point, if you want to till all of that in, that's also beneficial as well, because then it's all getting in, then you can restart on top again. It's just a really cool practice, and I think for overwintering, it's just like a huge thing. And I don't know, I keep going on about this because this is what we do for overwintering. So this is what this episode is
yeah.
about. It's just,
Mhm.
pull your plants, pull your weeds, put the grass on top, whatever works for you. That's overwintering. That's what we do. And it works. And like I said, this is a time, winter is a time of rest, and it's a time for the ground to rest, for you as the gardener to rest. And I know that winter is like, it's iffy for me. I'm not a huge fan of winter because I miss going outside as much as I could, and I want to garden, and I feel like as gardeners and farmers and stuff, we all want that. We all want to, we're going to miss that. But during that time of overwintering and resting, find things that still bring you joy. Maybe that's if you can't be in your garden, maybe get some houseplants, get some houseplants and
House plant.
grow those. Exactly. Grow those
Or
instead.
exactly, or if you can keep your house a decent temperature and you have a nice south facing window, try growing a plant indoors, like a
Mm-hmm.
basil plant or a tomato plant if you want. They're not going to taste the same. I mean, they're going to be a little bit more diluted, but they're still going to be food and it's still going to bring you a little bit of joy. Also, my hens bring me a bunch of joy. I get outside more in the winter, not more in the winter than the spring, but I get outside more in the winter during those times because I know my birds depend on me. I have to do things for them. And it's also just a time for me to bond with my flock more because I'm really not doing that as much in the summer as I should be because I'm in the garden or spring really, but focused on garden stuff because it needs to be done. There's a very time sensitive window where the birds are here all year. So I choose those times and I'm like, hey, I know I'm going to be out here more with the birds than in the spring. So bond with them, get them used to stuff and things like that. So
And maybe if
my
you're a
nature.
gardener like me, like us, I am a very, very I like to be prepared. I like to organize. I will pack a suitcase for a vacation a week or two ahead because I'm so excited. So let's
Mhm.
look at that in the gardening aspect. I would plan out my garden during those winter months, and then come spring, I have everything laid out. So if that's something that you like to do, if you are like me and need to have things organized and prepared, and you're excited and you're anticipating the spring, buying seeds, pull out a plan, make a layout, and we're going to have a video on this as well eventually, talking about laying out your garden, how to prepare for the spring, stuff like that. But if that's something that you want to do, then go for it. And I want to add a little plug
Yeah.
for our channel. Um, this winter, we know that overwintering is hard, and we've talked about this before. We've shared this already, but come these winter months, we have set up a couple different I'm holding my microphone at this point. She keeps on falling, y'all. So overwintering, it sucks, okay? Right? We know that. But we have for you guys overwinter, okay? For these winter months, you're bored. It's lame. It sucks. We know. We hear you, okay? It sucks for us too.
Yeah.
Overwinter, we have lined up a couple different of our friends, or people that we've never met, people that we have met, people that we call
Or
mentors, or
yep.
family, friends, whatever. We have a couple different speakers lined up that we will be doing podcasts with. And that's awesome. Guys, we're going to have gardeners, we're going to have farmers, we're going to have chicken keepers, duck keepers, geese, cows, whatever. I don't know. I don't know fully, but it's going to be crazy cool because we're bringing on things, beekeepers. We're bringing on things that like we don't have, but like maybe you guys want to learn about too, and bringing on other people so they can give that information that we don't fully know. Because like we've said before, we don't ever want to talk about a topic that we are not comfortable talking on. We like to speak from experience. So bringing on these different speakers, I think it'll be fun for not only us, but for them. It gives them something to do as well. Because we all know we want to talk about our gardens. We want to talk about our chickens and our passions and stuff. And
Yeah.
during that anticipation for spring, I just think it's really awesome. And we're all super excited to be doing this. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. Because once we hit the new year, we're going to be starting off our series. And it's just going to be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So we hope you guys stick around and stay tuned for that because it'll be cool.
It's gonna be very exciting. I think right now we have people through January through at least the end of February, but we're getting it to where it's going to be extended through like April, the end of April, and
Mm-hmm.
really just have on different people. And it's going to be having on different people, but it's going to be more of a kind of an up to date thing, like gardeners more so when gardening season happens, but also before gardening season happens, to where you can plan out your garden, what seed companies they use, because we've talked about which ones we use. Maybe they use the same one, so that's another source of information that you can be like, hey, multiple people use these seeds, they're good. Um, all seeds are good, but things like that. Just different places, different things, how to prepare for the coming year. If you're thinking about getting sheep, how can you go about doing that? Cows, time of year to do that. Feeder pigs, whatever. Getting bees, when's the best time to do that? We're going to have it all for you guys, and we're really excited to be able to share this with you guys.
Exactly. So overwintering, it is what you make it. You know, it can be hard. It is hard. Not gonna lie, it is hard, but it's finding things that you can still do to still keep those passions flowing, to still keep that anticipation strong. So if you ever want to talk about gardening, message us on Instagram, or on
Yeah.
Facebook, comments, whatever. If you want to do a podcast episode with us, we'll look at your account, channel, whatever. We'll see if that's something we're interested in. We want to, as a community, we want to, keep y'all strong through this. It's not easy, but it's a time of rest, and I think we should all take hold of that and actually, do what we love still, but on a more lower scale. It's
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 the time
hard,
of learning.
but
It's a learning time. I mean, nobody's really going out and doing anything, but we still have those experiences in our minds. So if you can find a backyard gardener, pick their brain about what they do with their garden. See if they can help you get started in your own garden. Like if you're in an area that gets minimal snow, but you still get cold enough, see if they'd be willing to go with you as you get the supplies to help you out, or and set up your gardens, things like that. And then you're growing closer to that person, but you're also creating community with them, and you're able to bounce your ideas off of that person, and then maybe one day you're going to be the same thing.
exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think that's everything for today's video, right? You have anything else you
Yep.
want to add?
No, just excited about the new year, which
Exactly.
it's almost November, but I'm excited.
Exactly. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. maybe it sparked
Yeah.
something in you, inspired you to do something this winter, and maybe it'll help you better your garden for the winter as well. But we hope you guys stick around for more awesome content from us, and we will see you all